Guys, it happened. Here in Northeast Ohio, Spirit Halloweens have started to open their doors, and ya boy, man, I was looking for this all last year, and I couldn't get my hands on a single pair, but I was so lucky. I walked into the second Spirit Halloween, yes, the second, that I saw this past weekend, and what do you know, they had a ton of them on the shelf, and I finally was able to get my hands on that Terrifier 2 Sunflower glasses. I've been really wanting these. Oop. Oh yeah. I'm feeling dangerous, folks. I'm feeling a little like clowning around here, you know? Maybe I'll do the whole video in these. That's gotta be the ticket to 1 million views, right? Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome back to another recommendation list. This time we're going to be talking about 5 disturbing movies that I consider to be hidden gems. I know for some of you seasoned vets out there watching this video, these are probably going to be films you've seen already, but I think you would agree with me that these picks here definitely deserve a little bit more attention from a broader audience. I feel like I've tailored a nice list here of movies that I think people could actually sit down and watch, whether they're into this kind of stuff or not, and at least walk away saying, hey, they actually tried to tell a story there, they actually did something impactful, and it wasn't all just, blood, guts, and feces. So if you're squeamish or you still sleep with the lights on, now is your chance to bail. But if you need to test your limits, confront the unwatchable, and maybe question your own sanity, well, you're in the right place. And if you enjoy the content that you're watching today, please do me a huge favor and hit that like button to help boost us up in the algorithm so more people can find us, as well as if you think we deserve it, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 50,000 subscribers. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I'm going to keep saying it because I cannot wrap my head around it. But yeah, it's going to be great, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. So without further ado, let's hop into the list. Kicking things off in my number 5 spot and heading right into the mouth of madness, we have, of course, 2015's Baskin. A squad of unsuspecting cops go through a trapdoor to hell when they stumble upon a black mass in an abandoned building. Yes, folks, getting us started today, we're going to be touching on Baskin, and I don't mean Robbins. This 2015 folk, hellish body horror film really flew under my radar. I had no knowledge of this movie. It had been something that I had stocked on the shelves at my previous used media job for a long time, and it wasn't until I started doing these disturbing movie lists that I really decided, hey, let's take a look and see what all the fuss is about. And so I did, and yes, Baskin is kind of a well-rounded, really, I think, satisfying, disturbing movie. You know, it goes really hard in a few places, and definitely 100% delivers some shocking and appalling imagery. But it also surrounds all of it with a really strong narrative. Not to spoil too much of the plot of the film, but we follow a police squad as they get sent on a job where essentially this town, this ghost town that people don't really like to travel to, they get a call that they have a disturbance there that needs to be dealt with. And it's during this journey to said town that we kind of start to see these men get sidetracked, and they start to kind of, I guess, in layman's terms, follow a stairway down to hell. Because the further and further they go and the closer they get to their destination, the crazier this movie gets. And not just crazy from, like, again, the violence and splattery sense, but actually some very unsettling, very creepy lore and imagery. We've got everything from, the hints of these demonic monsters that are lurking in the shadows, as well as these women who are, basically bound and gagged and forced to chop up other people. It's very, very striking imagery. It's very good at unsettling you. It really gives me those Descent vibes. I think Baskin does a really good job at just setting these characters in a position where no matter what they do, they have to go down in order to get out, and that is truly haunting. Because when you know that right at the bottom of this is supposedly hell, and you know that you're probably going to be dealing with, I guess, Satan or some kind of a major demon here who's probably going to mess around with you and kind of play with your insides a little bit, it can be intimidating. I'm not going to lie. I don't think I would be too keen on going further into this journey. But just like any good horror movie, the film basically forces their hand, and the third act of this movie, it's kind of wild. It's very strange. It's a lot slower than I thought it was going to be, but that's not a bad thing. I think that when it comes down to the truly haunting and just unsettling imagery that's going to make you squirm, this is where you get it. A lot of the stuff before was scary with some slight disturbing edges to it, but this is truly where they just turn everything up to 11. But yeah, Baskin is truly a surprising gem. I feel like more people should talk about this movie. Maybe it's just me, and maybe this is an overdone, overplayed horror film, but hey, I don't know that many people who've seen it, and I was really pleasantly surprised with it. It's, again, got a little bit of that disturbing edge without truly leaving just the scary side of horror, and I think it's got a very nice mix. If you thought that Turkish hellscapes were the worst of it, then buckle up. We are sealing the doors and preparing to watch humanity rot from the inside out. With my number 4 pick, 2011's The Divide. Survivors of a nuclear attack are grouped together for days in the basement of their apartment building, where fear and dwindling supplies wear away at their dynamic. Yes, Xavier Gen's The Divide is one that has been recommended to me time and time again from you good folks in the comments. This is a grueling, very depressing look at what it just would take for people in an apartment setting who are now in a bunker of sorts underneath said building, dealing with not only their personalities, themselves, their ailments, but also trying to comprehend and cope with the reality that their entire life has just completely gone sideways. Again, I won't dive too deep into the plot here just to save it for you guys, but this is truly a movie that I think just shows you can do so much with so very little. So much of this film is built upon all of the dialogue and us getting to know the good and the bad sides of all of our people that are living in this bunker. And this is a really big melting pot of different personalities. We have people that we like and we support throughout the story, and of course we have people who, well, maybe seem okay at first, but then very, very quickly we lean into the fact that this is not going to end well for them.
Let's fucking do it. Bobby, let's get civilized about this, please.
But not just that, the movie does take a couple of unexpected turns. This is really kind of, again, a contained thriller, but it does have some bigger ideas that they actually kind of know exactly how to execute without going too far. So often in films nowadays, we have these prime little concepts that would just absolutely terrify and work, but they always try to go bigger. And I appreciate that The Divide takes a couple of swings, but never ever loses that claustrophobic, creep, unsettling factor that we have in this bunker. Some people would call this like a psychological thriller. This is truly, to me, a psychological tragedy because there is so much with mind games and things going on between our characters later in the film, and you're really just watching people completely break down from the inside out. But don't get me wrong, we definitely get some in-your-face, very graphic, disturbing sequences. In The Divide, we deal with everything from just head-on attacks from outside, adversaries, to even, of course, just the battles between our characters within, where trust is being whittled away little by little. And unfortunately, that also, we kind of stay in this room long enough that there are some decisions that are made that affect our female characters specifically, and it is grueling, and you don't see as much as you would in some of these other films I've covered on this channel, but it's still definitely very well done, very tastefully applied, I would say, and it does just the right amount to make you very uncomfortable. All that to say that, yeah, I've barely even touched on all of the drama and all of everything that goes on in the actual story of the film here. I want you to take some time to discover that. I really, really like The Divide. I think that this is definitely a movie that deserves to get talked about more. I thank all of you who've recommended it in the comments, because this, again, is one that I will certainly go back to when I'm looking for something grueling and intense, and yes, at times a little bit depressing, but overall it is a disturbing gem that I hope you will take a look at. Surviving nuclear fallout is one thing, but surviving your own family, that's a whole nother horror in general. And that's why coming in at my number 3 pick, we have 2012's Found. A horror-obsessed boy discovers his older brother is a serial killer. It was only a couple of videos ago that I was talking about the pseudo-sequel movie within a movie, Headless, that is connected to this film and its universe. And in that video, I said that I had to get around to discussing Found at some point, and this was the very list that I figured would be most appropriate for it.
You really fucked up, kiddo. You really fucked up.
Because yes, I do believe that Found is a gem of sorts when it comes to the disturbing films. Now don't get me wrong, just like Headless, this is a very, very low budget movie. This is certainly a passion project if I've ever seen one. You've got people in here who are certainly not professional actors and who were probably not seeking that as a career, is all I'm saying.
Unrated. Unrated.
But when you have friends and family who are willing to help you execute a vision, especially when it comes to horror films and ones involving the kind of content that this film does, I can only sit here and kind of grin and smile and say, hey, you know what? You did it. Congratulations. You made your movie. And truly, I don't think the movie is all that bad. I think it presents a lot of very interesting ideas about family and the psychological nature of what your relationship with not only father figures, but your older brother in particular, if you have that kind of dynamic, can, kind of do to you.
You guys are assholes! You don't care about me!
Don't you hit him again! You need to shut your mouth! No. Marty's been through enough.
And the other piece to this that I really I think find a really big comfort in, which is weird to say, is that this is definitely told from the perspective of a horror fan. Like I said in the opening description, the kid in this movie is just a horror movie buff. He watches all kinds of spooky, creepy movies. Those are some of my favorite scenes because they're all fake movies, so it's literally just the same team making these goofy, like, monsters coming out of the lake kind of movies, and it is a complete 180 from the movie that we are currently watching. Because yes, not only does our character here discover that his older brother is a serial killer, but he discovers that he's become obsessed with a movie called Headless. And yeah, there's an act in Headless that I've depicted and talked about many times involving severed heads and the fornication with them. And what do you know? This is a movie where it is heavily implied in a few points that that's exactly what the older brother character is reenacting. It's funny because they had the restraint to kind of not openly show it. They do a couple of tricks to kind of be like, hey, maybe he is, or maybe he's just doing the killing part. But by the end of the film, you're left with some imagery that pretty much confirms everything, all of your suspicions, just based on what we know about the Headless Killer. And yeah, just like The Divide, this movie is pretty tragic. I mean, you're watching this kid just kind of go through hell, as opposed to just losing friends, learning these awful secrets about his brother, and then also just not having the best relationship with his parents. And it can be kind of sad, but then there's also these just over-the-top, very violent, in-your-face, and extremely disturbing moments that really just center you back into the kind of movie that you were anticipating to see.
Man, that head looks so fake. Are you okay?
But I cannot lie, as an aspiring filmmaker, as somebody who wants to make movies, Found is certainly one that I do enjoy watching just as much as I enjoy watching something like the original Evil Dead. Is it rough around the edges? Absolutely. But again, it's somebody who went out there and got it done no matter what obstacles were in their way. And looking at the comments from my other videos, it seems like a lot of you would agree with me when I say that Found is certainly a hidden gem that is something you should definitely seek out, whether you are somebody who loves intense, disturbing, gory horror, or if you're just looking for something that's definitely going to, I guess, raise the bar in that department, but still give you at least a little bit of something to chew on and give you something to think about once the credits roll that's not just trauma. Alrighty folks, before I drag you into our last two cinematic nightmares, we have to talk about a real world horror story. Yes, one that doesn't end when the credits roll. I'm talking about identity theft. The kind of evil that lives in the shadows of the internet, waiting to snatch up all your personal data and completely turn your life upside down. But don't worry, because tonight's episode is protected by Aura. Yes, our sponsor and your digital bodyguard. While we spend our nights watching films about mass slashers and supernatural creeps, Aura is on patrol 24/7, scanning the dark web for your stolen data and monitoring all 3 credit bureaus for suspicious activity. If something sinister were to pop up, you would know about it 250 times faster than other services. And let's say if some digital ghoul was able to get through, Aura has your back with up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. And let's not forget, you're also getting a VPN, antivirus, and a password manager all wrapped up into one. Think of it as your own personal survival kit, but for the internet. Look, don't get me wrong, as horror fans, we love our scares on screen. But when it comes to real life monsters, don't take any chances. Protect yourself with Aura today. Hit the link in the description to start your free trial and keep your nightmares where they belong on Splattercast. Now let's get back to the terrifying stuff you actually signed up for. Yes, secrets between siblings can lead to some rather evil and disturbing stuff, but what happens if that evil and that disturbed nature it just runs in your blood? What if that's just a part of your lineage? And that's why coming in at my number 2 pick, I have to go with 2022's Megalomaniac. Megalomaniac questions the invisible line between victim and executioner, and how it is crossed. So I know the last 2 movies have been a lot more psychological and a lot more of, leaving some things up to your imagination in some regards. But just like Baskin, Megalomaniac, we're back to just showing you everything. This truly is a disturbing movie that I don't think has really gotten its flowers as of yet. I don't hear anybody talking about this. And funny enough, this is something we had gotten a screener for. I had watched it, and then we just ran out of time between festivals to really sit down and cover it. So I'm kind of making good on that promise here, because Megalomaniac is certainly something that I think is going to be climbing up people's lists the more people check it out. This movie is violent and rough, and there's a lot of sequences and a lot of taboo topics that will drive any casual disturbing movie watcher absolutely insane. There are maimings and attacks and killings in this movie that are pretty damn memorable. One of which I'll dive into a little bit here, unfortunately involves a guy, well, how do I put this? He's, forcing oral onto a woman, and yeah, he just decides to chew a big old chunk of her off of her. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that's pretty much a lot of the stuff that's happening in this movie. It's a lot of people losing body parts, losing limbs, chunks of themselves, and it's just all shown in very graphic, sometimes even slow motion, very, very detailed, like, it's a very detailed presentation. You don't miss anything, is all I'm trying to say. And when we talk about this kind of stuff, you expect that. But where this one shows so much gore and viscera, just like something like a Terrifier 2, Terrifier 2 has those moments of, oh my god, it's so like laughably ridiculous how far we're going. This is just pain. This is like getting close to like Inside and Martyrs levels of pain. Beyond that, we're dealing with characters that have this incestual kind of attraction to each other. This whole family is just twisted, and it does make some very, very awkward, very, very unsettling and gross scenes just involving those two and their exploration of each other. And yeah, this is really just like a pressure chamber of violence and intensity. It's an hour and 45 minutes that does at times, I think, really sit in those moments of just pure violence and gore a little long, and can go to the level of sometimes being a bit overdone. But then they will pull you back in with some truly shocking, very disturbing, and at times extremely scary imagery. And when we're talking about disturbing films, and films that, again, I just think are deeply underrated and need more people, especially people who watch my videos here and like disturbing stuff, more of you need to check this film out. Because although I think time will truly tell whether this one, I guess, reaches the heights of a Martyrs or an Inside or something like that, it certainly has the potential to. And I think that there's enough competency, there's enough of the disturbing, vile shit, and I think that this definitely has a future of being one of those films that gets tossed around on these icebergs and on these lists for many years to come. Now that you've seen what happens when we've passed evil down through generations, we have to move on to my number one pick. And yes, this is a movie that is about vengeance, people. This is a very, very gruesome watch, and I knew long before I even sat down and finished out the rest of this list that my number one pick was going to none other than 2010's 7 Days. A doctor seeks vengeance by kidnapping, torturing, and killing a man who raped and murdered his young daughter. I'm not going to speak for everybody when I say this next part, but this is certainly a movie that I think probably you go into expecting to, I guess, have a bit more of a, I don't know if fun is the right word, but just a bit more of a satisfying experience when you watch it. And then you come out on the other end, and there are moments that certainly you think at the start, yeah, hell yeah, let's go. But as we get deeper and deeper into it, it's really, really haunting and very unforgettable stuff. Yes, just like I said in the opening there, 7 Days is a movie about a surgeon, a father, somebody who, isn't watching. That's the best way I can put it. It's somebody who, as a father myself, you are caught in that moment where you aren't paying attention. I can say for myself, fully admittedly, that it happens. There are moments when you think the world is safer than you ever should believe it. I haven't had anything that deep happen to me where it's affected my son or anything, but I have subconsciously caught myself slipping at times. This is what happens in this movie. The father trusts that the girl can get to school on her own, and it's just that one moment that he gives her, just saying, hey, you got this, that will haunt him for the rest of his days. Because yes, his daughter is abducted, and after he wakes up from a nap, he, follows into the usual footsteps of, oh my god, where is my kid? What's going on? All the police and everything. And yeah, unfortunately, they do discover his daughter, and she was brutally murdered. And I think just anybody with a heart can really watch this movie and see all these scenes and just be moved to tears. Like, I certainly got choked up watching him grieve his daughter. And that's a moment that really sticks with me. And, it makes you really crave vengeance. It really gets under your skin really well of making you side with this character and then kind of watching him begin to execute this plan as he goes to not only abduct the man that is suspected of raping and killing his daughter, but then putting him through, as the title suggests, 7 days worth of torture, basically leading up to his death. And there's a lot of movies that do torture sequences, but this movie centering so much around it, it's one of those things where they don't do anything that's too, I guess, out of the realm of practical. Like, you've seen movies like Saw, where it's like people are in these impossible traps and they are just getting ripped apart and it's all CGI blood and stuff. No, we're getting things like simply sledgehammering somebody's knees in. Feeding him rotten dead animal carcasses that you're just letting sit out in the hot sun and just rot, and then just feeding it to him, injecting him with certain drugs and things like that cause different hallucinations and experiences, all in the hopes of making this person suffer just as much, if not more, than your daughter or your child did. And this is, again, a movie where, you're so revved up, you're ready for the violence, but you aren't ready for it. You aren't ready for the prolonged violence, the anguish that we have to sit through with our main character here as he kind of comes to terms with the fact that he's gotten to a point where he cannot go back, and this is the only way out is forward. And it's a really haunting, impactful, and very deep film. And yes, there are a lot of very disturbing moments. There's a surgery scene towards the end of this movie, and I'll just spoil this for you, so if you don't want to know this, skip ahead 30 seconds. But he takes this man's intestinal tract and he links it through his stomach, so that way he's basically shitting into himself. There's a lot of fucked up things that have come through my head, especially watching a bunch of scary, messed up movies all the time, as to, like, if somebody hurts my child to a point where it needs to be this, I don't know. There's a point where I think it would just come down to, I'll turn myself in, and that's good enough. But again, the movie does put that ball in your court and says, is this too much? Do you understand this? And even if you do, is it right? No. But is it wrong? You got to look at the two sides of the coin, and I really love this movie for that. I think that it's got a lot to say. It's very profound. It's very beautifully acted. And yes, this is one of those disturbing movies that I think has more of my respect than it does just remembering the awful, terrible torture scenes that are just very in your face and graphic. And that is a mighty feat, when you can present what you present in this movie, but still have me locked in to the character struggle and be more torn apart by what this guy is going through when he's just trying to grieve and figure out what the fuck he's going to do with his life. But nonetheless, if you're looking for something that is going to affect you, that is going to rock you, I think that 7 Days is certainly one that you need to check out. And I certainly consider this film a disturbing hidden gem. Alrighty, folks. Well, there you have it. We've done it again. Yes, 5 films, 5 waking nightmares. And if you've made it through this entire video without cringing, without flinching, well, consider yourself officially Splattercast certified. We'll go with that. I don't know what that means. I just came up with that. Either way, thank you guys so much if you made it this far into the video. I really, really appreciate it. Again, it's nice to be able to talk about disturbing horror movies that I actually like and I think have some positive parts to them, even if they are still pretty extreme and definitely go to some deep, dark places. But that has kind of become the bread and butter of our channel here. You guys really like this stuff, and I love talking about it with you. So definitely a very fun, very positive video. I tried to put a little bit more of a spin on the transitions this time around, so let me know if you've been a long-time viewer, if you like that, if you think I've got enough penmanship to keep up with my co-host Luke over there. I'm just always looking to improve these. I always want to make sure the experience is positive for you guys and you enjoy the content the best way it can be seen. And one of those ways for you, if you're curious and you're new to the channel, is by checking out the link in the description below and taking a look at the Splattercast Patreon, where you can watch this very same video completely uncensored, as well as a few of our other videos. We've been doing it now for about a month, and I'm so grateful for all these fine folks who are popping up on screen here. All of them have pledged their hard-earned cash over to us to give them uncensored, entertaining content, as well as all kinds of behind-the-scenes chats, and just really in general just helping us build and shape the community over there. So thank you guys for that, and if you want to take a look and see what kind of gross stuff you missed out because of the old censors here on YouTube, you can click that link in the description below. And if you could do me a favor, let me know down below what are some of the most disturbing, underrated movies, hidden gem movies that always come to mind. They might gross you out, but you definitely think more people need to know about them. As well as, again, if you're new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, help us get to 50K. And yeah, that's gonna do it up here for us, folks. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell, and remember, stay scared.
Do the hard shit, gonna do it live, cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.